Hello everyone, welcome back. Gather around and let us go into a higher talk, a conversation that you've been willing to have for a while. As we spoke about in many videos, the idea of thinking is going into our mind, having those internal discussions, those dialogues that we've been pushing off for a while. If we feel a certain way at certain times, it's not because that's just a natural thing. It's actually a message. For example, if we go on a walk and our feet start hurting us, yes, it's natural that our feet start hurting after walking for a while, but that pain that you feel is actually a message for you to take a rest. When our heart feels a certain way, yes, it might be something natural, but it also requests something of us. It wants us to do something. When you feel this, it wants a certain reaction. And the thing is, that reaction is not always the proper thing to do. What that feeling wants is not necessarily the reaction that you believe you should be doing. Sometimes we feel angry, and the reaction that we are used to doing is getting angry. Just going and breaking things, just going and becoming a destroyer. But the truth is that emotion it requests or asks for a reaction that will quiet it down, actually make it never come back again. It wants to feel good from now on. It doesn't just want to numb it. It wants it to go away. If somebody has a problem with overeating, let's say, they have this feeling of shame within them, which they've been conditioned to cover up. They've been conditioned to cover that feeling up with food. How? Just by eating. By the fact that they're eating, they stop thinking about that feeling. They feel good for momentarily. Hopefully by the time they're done eating, they have moved on to something new, and usually they won't stop eating until they have moved on to something new. Or they'll binge eat while they're watching, while they're getting their mind off something else, off their problem, while they're going on to something else. That feeling doesn't want to be numbed. That feeling wants to be taken care of. And in order to get to that feeling and have that conversation, we have to get into that dialogue. And that's what we're going to be doing here. Anytime we think, anytime we have an internal conversation, we're seeking to clarify the emotions and feelings of our mind. We learn something, it doesn't sit well with us, so we stay a little bit longer. We say, I'm trying to understand these words. I understand every word, I don't understand the flow of the sentence, I don't understand the context of this topic. And by looking into it, by understanding that there is there's a void within, and because we don't understand the context or whatever, we'll go and we'll dig in a little bit more until we understand it, until we could quench our thirst or feel better with ourselves and say, hey, now I could move on. And that's what we're looking for. We're trying to get that feeling over and over again. That is the now I can live, that feeling of I'm good. And we want to reach that I'm good all the time. And not just because that's like we want to reach it. That's the baseline we want to be at. We want to be good all the time. We want to know that things are good, things are understood. And we don't want anything from the outside coming and pulling us down, making us feel terrible, taking us away from this baseline of I'm good. So we open ourselves up to problems. Let's say we're going to go and learn something difficult, or we'll go and take certain tasks upon us that we know are going to take a week to accomplish, and we're going to have issues that come up. We go and we open up a business. We go and we get married. We go and we have children. We bring upon ourselves, not problems, but things that we have to learn along the way. And way rather have these things, these struggles, than to have struggles that you didn't even ask for, like a sickness or like the opposite of success, failure. We put ourselves into such problems. That way we should learn resilience. We want to grow and we want to become better and better. So that's basically the makeup of us. But in order to have a conversation, in order to really go deep, in order to really understand what is the feeling within my heart, what is it, that feeling, where is that baseline feeling coming from, that I want to be good? Who's saying that? Who is that? Where is it coming from? And how do I get to meet him? So in order to meet this inside person, or in order to meet that inside feeling that you're so looking for, which is a parable when you speak about yourself or when you speak about Hashem. Like when you speak about God, you're like, it's the same idea. You could apply this lesson to there. When you're really trying to find yourself, that place of peace, you realize that the only way you could get to peace is by understanding Hashem and living with Emunah. Okay? That is my point of view, and this is the Jewish point of view that has been keeping our nation up and running for thousands of years. We know that deep within us we have a little spark of God, a spark of Hashem that keeps us alive. And Hashem is good. And we should feel good because we have Hashem in us. We are Hashem. We are our living essence is Hashem, and if Hashem is good, we are good. We accept certain things upon ourselves. We accept challenges, so that way we should be able to become resilient to keep ourselves with this knowledge that Hashem is good, and therefore I am good. So that's why we bring ourselves up into places to learn resilience, so no winds, nothing falling or banging or crashing into us or being shot at us, or whatever happens. Is it with the Bibas children, or is it with the Holocaust, or is it with the Babylonians killing thousands and millions of Jews during the first temple, or the Egyptians? No matter where we go through, is it physical pain? Is it with the spiritual problems? Or is it our personal, individual things, in little cities in different places that were expelled, or were put into jail, or were killed, or were blood libel, or whatever went on in this area? And especially when we go into the spiritual world as well, where it's like individually we're trying to win the war. It's not the culture war, but it's the religious war. It's that we should be able to stay and stick connected to Hashem, even while all the temptations on the other side are so unbelievably amazing, and they sugarcoat it with so many good things that it seems sweet to the eye. And we have to learn how to remain resilient against those forces, either positive or negative, even though they're all technically negative. But on the physical eye, we have the ups and the positive side, the negative side, but they're all on the negative side as a whole. Okay, if you catch what I'm saying. So in order to remain good, we build up a resilience around ourselves, so that way we could remain good. So we want to find that inside part within us, and in order to get there, in order to find that Hashem, in order to really build that emunah within our heart that we are good, we have to first learn a thing called humility. Humility is hachna'ah or anava. Hachna'ah is more when someone bows down underneath someone else and says, I am willing to accept what you have to give, what you have to offer. Hachna'ah, you are my Rebbe, and I will accept. That means my ear is open to listen, my heart is open to feel, and my mind is open to learn. I am here ready to accept whatever you say, and I will challenge it as much as I can, but I will always know that you have a deep reasoning to what you want to say, and we will work it out together until we could practically implement it into our lives. And that's hachna, saying I am willing to take it. I'm willing to accept. I am beneath. And in order to get to Hashem, naturally we need that. But in order to find ourselves, in order to start going in deep into our mind, to build conversations and reach conclusions, we have to learn how to listen. We have to open up our heart and open up our minds, so that way when we get information, or when we think critically and we look for answers, even when speaking to ourselves, we need to be ready to listen and not be arrogant. That's the natural thing. And then there's another is humility, whereas yes, I may know a lot. I may have a lot of information. I may have a lot of money. I may have a lot of things that other people don't. But at the same point, I also know how much of a human I am, and I'm not above anybody else because of this. Actually, because of these things, I have a greater spiritual war going on, since I have the abilities to get elsewhere and go wherever and spend wherever, whatever. Then they don't have those issues. Yes, they have their spiritual problem sitting on their couch at home. My problem is sitting on my yacht. And that's just the problems become bigger. Yeah, the problems are more expansive, and they reach you from all different directions. And the opportunities that a person has really opens them up to different areas. So when somebody has anava, someone has humility, he's able to remember, no matter how many great things I have, how many talents I possess, I still have to remain humble, because nothing about me really is special, and my luck does not make me anybody besides for who I am. And what is a person if not for their beating heart? What is a person if not for their soul within them? So in order to really grow, we have to learn how to not become haughty, not become balgava, and also to have hachna'a, which is to learn how to accept, learn how to be led by somebody else, by a rebbe, by accepting. And that's where we're going to. We want to go and meet this truth within us, that Hashem, that emunah. We want to be able to live with it. We want to get to know, what is that feeling that makes me angry? I want to know, what does it really want from me? What is it inside? What does it want? It wants me to be good. It wants me to feel okay. It wants me to be able to go about doing my life and continuing to be productive. It wants me not to stop and become sad. And now, in order to go in there and hear what it wants to say, I really have to have achna and humility, because in order to hear emes, in order to accept truth, you have to have these two midos of hachna and anava, which technically humility, anava, that is the way in. That is the way into the heart. The Gemara talks about a city which is mentioned in Sefer Shoftim, which is called the city of Luz. And interestingly enough, Luz is also mentioned in Parshas Vayetze, when Yaakov Avinu is with his dream and the ladder. And it's funny how Yaakov calls the city base Kale, but the pasuk says V'ulam, but Luz Shem Ha'ir L'Rishoina, this city was called Luz at first. So it's like, why do we have to know what the name was named before? It's like the Gulf of America, which is formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico, or Twitter, X, formerly Twitter. Why do I need to know this? And the pasuk said, "V'ulam Luz Shem Ha'ir L'Rishoina." It has to tell you, because it has to be truthful. Because the city of Luz was all about the truth. In order to get into the city of Luz, you need to have truth. And the Gemara says that there is a bone in the body which is called the Luz, Lamed Vav Zayin. And that is the only bone that does not go away from a human being by the time they die. And from that little bone, that's where the body will be resurrected from. That little bone. And that's the Luz bone. The city of Luz, in order to get into it, you had to purify yourself. You had to be truthful. You had to be real. And the Sefer Shoftim say that when the kids of Yosef went to capture or conquer the land that they would live in, they wanted to know how to get into the city, and they asked this one guy, the Shomrim. The Shomrim asked, how could we get in? They said, through this cave. And it was true, and they ransacked the city and took it for themselves. And this person who helped them was actually went away, and he opened his own city. In that city, if people wanted to die, they would have to leave. They would have to get up and say, I had enough of life. I've done everything I ever wanted to do, and I've accomplished, and I've achieved, and it's time. And they would leave the city, and that's where they would go. And this city of Luz is actually the pasuk in Shoftim says the same idea, that this Beis El was also Luz. Very interesting. But it says the same idea like V'ulam, but it used to be named, formerly known as that. Interesting connection. In Shoftim Perek Aleph, Pasuk somewhere, Kaf Aleph, Kaf Beis. So, anyhow, in order to get into our heart and find our truth, we find like the truth of underneath, find the truth that is underneath my feeling. Okay, I have a certain feeling that comes up, someone gets me mad, that feeling is in my heart, and I really want to understand, what does that feeling want me to do? What reaction does it elicit? Does it expect of me? And why does it expect it? Where does that come from? What is the reasoning behind it? And I want to feel it, not just know it. I want to feel it, I want to understand it, and I want to know what to do instead. We have to take the midah of emes all throughout. You have to go and, as if you're meeting this person, emes, you're standing with him and you're just telling him, tell me, what can you teach me? What is it all about? What does life want from me? With emes, you can get very far. Emes is very far. Emes is the beginning. Emes ata hu rishon, va'ata hu achron. Emes is everything. The world was created through emes. Emes is truth. It's reasoning. It's honesty. It's non-wavering and everlasting. Yeah. So, on your quest to greatness, whatever your quest is in life, wherever you choose to go, whatever lifestyle you want to live, whatever business you want to get into, or whatever thing you want to work on in your life, in your personal heart or in your relationships, whatever you want to do, personal or for the collective, general public, whatever you want to do, remember, it's truth that really sets you free. Through truth, you can really climb your way up, and that is where emes meets emuna. Emuna is from the top down, and emes is from the bottom up. When you work on your emes and say, I'm going to live a truthful life, then emuna will meet you, and you will be able to connect both and go all the way from emes all the way up to emuna. And I know that when you listen to this, you'll have to focus, but the more you really do this internalization, you really think about it, and throughout your day, you're going through a struggle in your business. You say, let me figure this out. Let me go down to the bottom of it. What is it? And you take truth along with you, and you say, what can you teach me along this way? I'm going to stick with you no matter what. You will come out at a point where it's like, I understand what I'm supposed to do. Life becomes good. At that point, when you stick with emes, you will find that drive, that motivation on your side, bringing you light. You're going to start feeling that emuna in your life. Because even if it's a small thing, even if the emes is, I'm just going to try to figure out how to make money for this week, and I'm sticking with the honesty. I'm saying, okay, am I lazy? Yes. Okay, great. I'm honest. What can I do to stop it? Where do I waste my time most of the time? Okay, is it on my phone? Okay, I admit, yes, it's on my phone. Okay, should we go into that? Should we open up that tab and say, where on your phone are you busy? Or should we say just phone? Okay, let's cut that out. And what's next? Where else do I waste my time? Do I sleep too long? Okay, let's figure that out. Another thing, let's move on. Like, and with who should do I like my partner at work, or do I not like him? Do I like the product I'm selling? And you go in deeper. And as you stick with the emes, you start finding more and more clarity, because as you take yourself out of this heavy cloud of a whole bunch of information, and you're just finding your way through the information with emes, so you're sifting through what is true and what is false, pushing all the false away, finding your way out. You're slowly creating a path of light, but leaving a path of light behind you, which eventually connects to the emuna. The emuna is just going to give you every day. You'll be like, you know what? Let me think of another way to become better, and another way. And that is emuna basically stretching you further and telling you, hey, keep on going, don't stop. It's not just enough that you should climb up. Once you start doing that, emuna comes your way and says, hey, come this way, turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right, showing you direction, screaming from the other end of the tunnel, and you finally get there. And even this is just going to work. You're just finding the motivation. But when it goes to something bigger, even in spirituality, you slowly start you find the motivation, and that in Yiddish it's called the lechtigkeit. You find that shine, that aura that comes and surrounds you. You feel it wherever you go. And you actually start looking forward to things of spirituality. Start looking forward to davening. Start looking forward to Shabbos, and you even start looking forward to things that you bring upon yourself. You start looking forward to the obligations that you've accepted, the wife, the kids, and the community. You learn, once you start looking with MS, you take everything that you brought upon yourself in order to learn resilience, so that way you could stay with Emunah. You start appreciating all those tasks that you added upon yourself, because you realize they're not just burdens, they're not challenges, they are tasks, they are the boundaries and the guardians that will help you get through. Those are the guardians in front of the city of Luz. Those are the guardians that they are there to protect you and keep you in the good place, keep you connected, keep you calm. And that's what we all want. That is Emes. And that's what we say, Titan Emes LeYaakov. We spoke about Yaakov and the city of Luz. Titan Emes LeYaakov. And how do we get to Emes? How do we get to the depth of our emunah? Is through Emes. I hope you learned something. It's a lot of information. I must say, to have this amount of knowledge, speaking about it, I'm connecting a nice couple of years. As I'm speaking, my mind is going through knowledge of a couple of years of understanding. And I want you to know, it's a process, but you start with one thing at a time, but you stick to the truth. Honesty is your new best friend. If you are choosing such a life, honesty is your best friend. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I appreciate it so much.